to the latest episode of All Things Fisker. Whether you're tuning in tonight on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, we're excited to have you join us. If you enjoy our content, be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button and give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yeah, last time we forgot about that one. And don't forget to download the Fisker Audio app on the Apple App Store or Google Play. Thank you very much. Okay, in episode 23 of All Things Fisker tonight, we'll be diving into the latest updates on Fisker, including WLTP results that were shared this morning for Fisker Ocean with 22-inch wheels, showcasing the electric SUV's efficiency. We'll also discuss the European Fisker Center Plus locations, never before seen software features, and the next pop-up location for European customers. Additionally, we'll touch on the latest news about Fisker Finance and that exclusive gift for Fisker Ocean 1 customers we touched on last week. Lastly, we'll cover some notable EV news and answer questions that are in the chat. All right, joining us tonight are some familiar faces and a new face, including Matt from Ocean Views and Marty from Fisker's Whispers. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hello.
Excellent. And we have a newcomer. We have Ed from Back Road Hero. Welcome, Ed. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. And he's joining us tonight from England, of all places. So he potentially might be the person who is furthest away from where I'm at. So before we kick things off, let's take a moment to see where our viewers and our listeners might be joining us from tonight. We do have a chat going on the YouTube live stream, so it'll be interesting to see where people are joining us from tonight. While we wait for people to share their location, go ahead and take a moment to answer the poll question. We have a poll question right now. The poll question is, what do you think about the design of the European Fisker Center Plus locations, right? We saw a whole bunch of photos and videos from them over the last couple of days, and you may have actually visited one. So take a minute to answer that poll right now. There's 38 votes. You have 4 answer questions: exceeded expectations, matched expectations, less than expected, and much less than expected. We'll unveil the poll results later on in the show when we discuss Fisker Center Plus locations. But first, let's go ahead and do some shout outs. Let's go ahead and see where everyone is joining us from. So we have some familiar faces in the chat tonight. We have Jingesh Patel from, doesn't say where you're from, but I think it's somewhere in the Midwest, Kansas City possibly. We have Rosanna. We have Troy, Signal Hill, California. We have Fisker Ocean number 2863. That's a neat way to do your name in the chat. Southeast Texas, Wilmington, North Carolina. Rosanna, Tony DeRose, Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Where else we have? Oh, we got somebody further away than Ed tonight. We have Stefan TDS, Strasbourg, France. Wow. Welcome. That is awesome. We have Todd up above from him in Ames, Iowa, and then we have another Todd in Suffolk, Virginia. Geez, lots of people. Fisker Ocean 1, OJ 1447, Houston, Texas, Burbank, California. Okay, we're getting closer to my home. Oh, here we go. We got someone super close to me, Mark Reed. He's in North County, San Diego, California. I think we're done. I think he nailed it. And then Joseph as well. And let's see. Yeah, it looks like it. Jesse, Washington, D.C. Okay. That's pretty cool. So we got people from all over the spectrum here. Geez, Mission Viejo just popped up. Excellent. We got loads of people from all over the place. That makes things more fun. Now, on to the latest Fisker news. Okay. Today, Fisker announced another impressive achievement with the all-electric Fisker Ocean Extreme, addressing a common concern among customers regarding the impact of the optional 22-inch wheels on the vehicle's battery range. The good news is that the difference is really minimal. Despite the larger wheels, the Fisker Ocean remains highly efficient. This morning, Fisker shared the latest WLTP results for the Fisker Ocean Extreme, which is more or less the Fisker Ocean 1, that limited edition vehicle. They said that that particular test used the optional 22-inch wheels and tires. And even with the larger wheels, the electric SUV achieved an impressive combined WLTP range of up to 701 kilometers or 436 UK miles. While slightly less than the range with the standard 20-inch wheels, this showcases the aerodynamic design of the Fisker Ocean that ensures exceptional efficiency. This means that European customers can enjoy class-leading battery range even with the choice of larger wheels and tires. I'm so glad I stuck with the 22-inch wheels. Let us know in the chat what wheels you guys chose. Now, yesterday was pretty neat. If you guys have been following along, Fisker opened 2 Fisker Experience Centers in Europe and continues to work hard to expand its presence with additional locations. These Center Plus locations in Copenhagen and Vienna represent the first physical Fisker-owned showrooms where customers can view the company's flagship electric SUV, the Fisker Ocean. Previously, customers had to rely on pop-up locations for a first-hand look at the electric vehicle. At each Center Plus, multiple Fisker Oceans are available for customers to explore and examine up close. Additionally, the Center Plus location in Vienna has the iconic Fisker Karma on display. That's pretty cool. While the exterior design of each Center Plus location looked pretty similar, the interior design are completely unique and distinct. We'll discuss that in just a bit. Now, yesterday also, we published video footage of the Fisker Ocean's user interface, the software that runs on that 17.1-inch display, since the vehicle is obviously now on display in Europe at a couple Center Plus locations. The video on our YouTube channel highlights Fisker's progress with the software in a short period of time. It's actually quite remarkable to see the rapid developments of the software since we saw the Fisker Ocean back in November at Magnastera. Now, there are some notable features that we'll discuss a little later. Some of those include the TomTom navigation. It clearly spelled out TomTom on the display. So that was kind of interesting. That helped maybe answer a question from somebody. What navigation maps are they using? The other was the web-based video apps that open streaming services in a browser. That should make it easier to potentially add new streaming services. And don't forget the regenerative braking and driver profile settings. Those were more or less never before seen. That was pretty neat to see that. And there was a whole bunch of others that we'll talk about in a minute. My favorite, though, was the video of the camera system that surrounds the Fisker Ocean. It provided pretty cool visibility while the vehicle was indoors. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Next up, Fisker announced the Fisker Ocean European Road Tour will be headed back to the United Kingdom later this month. As part of the tour, the Fisker Ocean will be showcased at the ever-popular Fully Charged Live event. We did the one down in San Diego. Super cool. If you have an opportunity to go to UK South 2023, definitely do it. It's in Farnborough on April 28th through 30th. This is a ticketed event. However, Fisker did send out an email with a 10% discount code, which is on our site. Just search Fully Charged Live and you'll probably find it. We'll also, I would say, be closely monitoring any new Fisker Ocean that comes to that show. That should be pretty fun. Now, we've also been closely monitoring Fisker Finance. If people are in the Fisker Audi forums, you may see some of the posts that I do there, and we're pleased to note that interest rates for financing a Fisker Ocean have actually decreased over this past weekend, according to the Fisker Ocean price estimator. For example, the APR for a 60-month auto loan through Fisker Finance with excellent credit has dropped to 5.81%, down from 6.3% just 1 month ago. In addition, we've observed Fisker's presence in various sections of the Chase Auto website, indicating increased visibility and accessibility for potential buyers. So that's actually pretty neat. You can go to the Fisker Audi forums. I'm tracking that. There's a couple threads in there. One's called Trade-In, one's called Fisker Finance. Check those out. Last up, Fisker sent out an email that we talked about last week for Ocean One customers about that exclusive gift of 2 branded keychains, thanking customers for their patience and continued support. Last week, several members of the Fisker Audi forums received the keychains ahead of the email, so we didn't actually know why they got them other than it was some sort of an exclusive gift. Now we know. So we still haven't received our gift, but I'm sure you'll find out when we do. So there you have it. That was your Fisker news for the week. Okay, guys, now let's discuss this. What did you guys think of this morning's WLTP announcement for the Fisker Ocean extreme using 22-inch wheels?
Relief.
Relief. There you go. Go on. Explain.
Yeah,
Relief. Yeah.
I went with 22, and people were saying 2022 it's going to really impact the range, and I'm like, okay, well 15 miles less or whatever, not a big deal. But it ended up being 4 miles difference for
Yeah,
the
handful.
which is like 1%. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, very little.
Yeah. Negligible.
Super awesome. What about you, Matt? Or Ed, go for it. Either of you.
Go ahead.
Well, I thought initially that Henrik had basically said that it was going to be much more than that, and I'm really happy because we're on 22s as well. So that's really, really good news.
Yeah, I think the original estimate was like 20 miles or something in that neighborhood. So, and with the EPA range being less than the WLTP, I think the difference is only going to be a few miles. So, yeah, that's good news.
Yeah, I thought it was actually exceptional news. I couldn't sleep last night. I looked at my phone, and lo and behold, I ended up seeing an email that was a press release from the investor relations website. And I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and read this, see if it's interesting. And I was like, wow, 22-inch wheels. I wondered actually if we were going to get different wheels and different trim levels as part of the ratings. And it looks like we certainly did. So maybe as Fisker gets the data in or gets the results in from the organization that does it, maybe they'll keep sharing those with us. Hopefully they will. It may be some time, though, is my guess, before we end up getting WLTP range estimates, if you will, for maybe the Ultra and the Sport, since the first trims that are going out are going to be the Fisker Ocean 1 and the Extreme. That's just a guess. I have no idea, but that's what I was thinking. So I think we got everything that we need for them to keep progressing and moving things along to start that production ramp. I think it was April 20th that we talked about last week. And then also maybe deliveries in May, possibly. Not sure when in May, but it seems like that's kind of how the timeline lines up. And we'll hopefully get more on that too. That's just a guess as well. But based on how long things take, seems to make sense. And as people probably know, we shared some of the launch markets that Fisker is going to be delivering the Fisker Oceans. Denmark happens to be one of those, right? And we know that there's now a Fisker Center Plus in Denmark. In fact, it's in Copenhagen, in a little town is probably the right way to say it, Tostrup. And that was the first Fisker Center Plus that I saw photos of probably a month ago. They were posted to the Fiskerati forums, or somebody sent them to me by email and I posted them there. So that was actually pretty neat to see that. It didn't look like the interior changed much since those photos were done, other than maybe painting some walls and adding some furniture. Oh, and of course, the 5 Fisker Oceans. They have 5 Fisker Oceans, and I heard that there was a 6th Fisker Ocean delivered, and that one was the latest, the greatest, the newest Fisker Ocean that came up from Graz, Austria. So what are your guys' thoughts on the Center Plus locations? Let's start with Copenhagen first, and then we'll talk about Vienna. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I was waiting for somebody else to chime in, but yeah, I'm getting my Vienna and my Copenhagen mixed up. I think Copenhagen's the one without the Karma in the lobby.
Correct.
Yeah, but they're just a little outside of the main city there, which is not a bad thing. I think it's,
no.
I didn't check the map. It's probably looks like probably a 15 or 20 minute drive outside of town. But yeah, just having
25 minutes to be exact.
25?
25 minutes.
Oh,
I
wow.
just pulled it up on Google Maps.
Stand corrected. But it's great to have a physical location. Number one, because for so long we've been this, virtual company and sketches and pop-ups and all this stuff, and now you actually have cars, even if they're whether they're production or production prototype, for people to be able to walk in there, take a look. Hopefully, in a couple of months, be able to take a test drive. Hopefully, sooner than that. But yeah, let's see it.
Yeah, there we go. So there is the map from Copenhagen to Tastrup. What about you, Matt? What do you think of that Copenhagen Fisker Center Plus? What were your initial thoughts of that?
Well, I think like a lot of people thought that both locations actually look kind of on the plain side compared to other companies at this point. But I got a feeling that they're going to be adding more stuff to it over time. I'm sure they're going to do some displays with like paint samples, like a wall of paint samples, and probably the interior fabrics and stuff like that. Because a lot of companies, I think like Lucid and Rivian, do that sort of thing. Well, they'll have these displays so you can actually see what the items look like in real life, which I think will help a lot because everything we've had so far has just been on the internet. So colors are just, it's just so hard to tell. So yeah. I think they're going to be adding more stuff to those locations.
Yeah, and I just threw up the article that I wrote on that one, and it's now open, Fisker Center Plus Copenhagen. Go for it, Ed. What were your thoughts on this one?
Well, I just happened to be in Hamburg in Germany, in northern Germany, and Copenhagen was potentially 3 hours by car or 5 hours by train. It was just too far to go. But to be honest, seeing the pictures that have come out of it all, I'm really quite disappointed that they didn't have much more. As you say, the paint samples would have been wonderful because people haven't seen these things by the eye. The monitor is so deceiving when it comes to actually looking at car colors. And of course, as we all know, our wives choose our car colors. So certainly ours has. And well, it would have been nice to have seen the paint samples just live by the naked eye. But you know what? All things, it's a start, and that's what we need.
Yeah. So my quick take on it is I thought it was actually really neat to see. I was actually impressed that the company ended up saying they were going to get 2 Fisker Center Pluses opened by the 11th of April, and they did. So they threw out a deliverable date, and they hit it. So that, to me, was impressive. I think that the design from what we saw about a month ago from the initial photos, there really wasn't too much that had changed because we saw the exterior, what is it called? Like metal siding, a very cool look. It's like a very industrial exterior. If anyone has seen those photos, they're floating around somewhere on the site, but a very industrial looking exterior, both Copenhagen and Vienna, very similar exterior, glass fronts, a lot of metal design on the exterior, big black and white Fisker, logo branding at the top of the glass and the front of the stores. And they ended up doing something that I thought was kind of neat. If anyone has seen the headquarters of Fisker, they have like what looks like a sticker on the window that's like an ocean, like ocean spray of some sort. And it has the Fisker logo on it. They put that on both the Copenhagen exterior and the Vienna exterior. Pretty neat. So as far as the exterior goes, I think everything's spot on. Love the exterior. The Copenhagen, I thought they could have done a little bit better on the flooring, believe it or not. I think the neutral color flooring would have been the polished concrete. Now, when I had a startup a long time ago, and we had tile in there and carpet, and that was before we took ownership of the building. And I'm like, let's gut it out. What's kind of cool, hip, modern? Polished concrete, super neat looking, super easy to clean, and anything that's on top of it gets the attention. Like in this case, the Fisker Ocean would stand out, and it would actually be a great, just a great way to get reflection off the floor and so forth. And the Ed makes a point. He sent me a message here. He said, I think the Copenhagen was an existing dealership building. Based on my research, it looked like it was an auto repair shop, an auto maintenance shop previous. It was already for the auto, like an automotive company. So Fisker didn't have to probably do too much. And we're only seeing front of the house too, by the way. There's probably something in the back of the building to do service and maintenance. Now, people should probably know, before we talk about Vienna, that these locations, these Center Plus locations, it's my understanding that they're going to be a place for customers to come in, right? They're going to be a place for people to come and check out. They're going to end up being a place for people to check the Fisker Ocean out, check different metal samples with different paint colors, like swatches or so forth. They're going to be able to check different materials and samples like that. That probably will be on some sort of furniture or some sort of a desk or credenza or something like that. That's just me envisioning that. But the real reason I believe the Fisker Center Pluses are there are for service, maintenance, and for deliveries. Those are kind of the main reasons for a Fisker Center Plus. Get them open quick. They don't have to be super flashy or splashy or whatever the right term is. They don't have to be super fancy like a Lucid store or a Tesla store or, you name the store, an Apple store, but because they're direct to consumer, that's why I mentioned Apple. But they need to serve the purpose of helping facilitate deliveries, doing service, and then allowing people to come pick them up at the location. If people have been following along on the Fisker Ocean 1 project, we've seen delivery quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, so forth, so on and so forth. We've also seen in the Fisker price estimator, customers have two options. First option, you can go pick up your Fisker Ocean. Second option is to have home delivery. So when you go pick up your Fisker Ocean, whether you be in Copenhagen or Vienna, they're going to make the experience just super easy for you to get your vehicle, get out, and then if you have issues with it, you can bring it back. That same Center Plus will service it, maintain it, etc. Maybe even in addition to a mobile service provider of some sorts. So that's kind of the quick take. That's different than a lounge. Now, the lounge, we know there's two lounges, right? Marty, we were talking about that earlier. We have the Grove over in Los Angeles, and we're waiting for Tommaso, who I didn't see in the chat tonight. We're waiting for him to send us some photos when he gets that. When he sees the Fisker lounge open up over at the Grove, he's going to be hopefully the point person for the photos. But that lounge is going to be like a full-on experience. I envision that lounge, based on what I've read, to be something like the Apple Store. The funny thing, I'm also pretty certain that specific store in LA was previously an Apple Store. So it's gonna have that feeling. It's 2 floors. We got a sneak peek a couple of weeks ago of a totally gutted building, drywall up. They needed to do some stairs. They needed to do some flooring. They're working on that now. But that's going to be creme de la creme. That's going to be a really cool experience. And we're also going to get one over in Munich at the Marienplatz, or just right outside, a couple blocks away from the Marienplatz. And that's a super high density shopping area. And that's going to be very similar to the Fisker Lounge that is in Los Angeles. Big difference going to be between Fisker Lounges and Center Pluses. It's going to be an experience, I would say, much more than a Center Plus. It's going to be the real deal. Like, to your point, Matt, like a Lucid storefront or Tesla, or you name the company. So that's I guess, was supposed to be a quick take on the Fisker Center Plus in Copenhagen, a little longer. But let's talk about Vienna now. Marty, you mentioned the Karma was up there, and I saw a couple photos on your Instagram, on the Fisker's Whispers Instagram, that there was a picture of the Karma there, even a video. I think you reshared that time lapse. Go ahead and talk about that, what your thoughts were on the Vienna location. Maybe in comparison to the Copenhagen.
I liked that they put a Fisker Karma in there. There's some people were talking about that, and how come the Karma is in there. We sold that off as far as the prior branding, but I think it's nice to have it in there. It just kind of speaks to, not that we're an old company, but we're not completely brand new. We do have a little bit of heritage, and whatever heritage and nostalgia people have for the Fisker design, for the Fisker Karma, I think it's great to showcase it. Why not? So I thought that was a nice touch to include that in there. That center, like you say, that had that time lapse when you walk in, I think they did a good job, showing that off. And I think also, just to kind of backtrack to what you were saying about the lounges versus the experience centers, I think if people were, disappointed or underwhelmed or what have you by the kind of, minimalist feel for the experience centers, probably because they were expecting a lot of oohs and ahs, which is going to be the lounges. And those lounges are, being built out, custom spec'd, so that way they will have that Neo or that Tesla or that Apple Store feel, however you want to compare it to. And the experience centers, those were existing buildings. We kind of just adopted those, and maybe they will add some of the things we're talking about with paint colors and fabric swatches and what have you. But that's mostly, like you say, delivery and pickup location, service location.
Yeah. So before Matt, you chime in, and Ed, let's go to the poll real quick to make sure we give everyone a chance to do the poll. So we asked the question a little bit ago at the beginning of the show. What do you think about the design of the European Fisker Center Plus locations? Currently 61 votes. There's about 100, just over 100 people watching right now. So we're going to give you another couple minutes to, maybe a minute or two, to get your vote in. Okay, Matt, what were your thoughts on Vienna? Maybe in comparison to Copenhagen, what were your initial thoughts of that location?
I'm trying to get it straightened out, but is it, because I didn't get like a full like view of the entire thing, is it a lot bigger location?
It's a lot more open, I would say. Let me try to throw up some photos of it. It definitely has much higher ceilings. I thought the ceilings in the Vienna store were much taller than those in the Copenhagen. I think the lighting in the Vienna location is much better than the lighting in the Copenhagen location. It's just, there's just so much more glass. In fact, it looked like they had glass inlets in the floor that were shining. I don't know if that, I doubt it's natural light, but maybe they could, pipe it in the tube or something. But it looked like it might be lights shining in just to give even more light. The more light there is, the better I think the Fisker Oceans are going to look. And we all know every color of the Fisker Ocean, and it looks different in different light. I think just in a couple of the photos I was sharing on the screen a moment ago of the Big Sur Blue, you can see just the different, like, depending on where the photo was taken and how much light there was in the window, it looked totally satiny. And then the other one looked matte, like a matte satin versus just like a matte dull color. So different light gives different different images of the oceans. I believe it's about the same from the front office or the front portion, the customer experience. They looked about the same, I thought, in the photos. But the ceiling height was much greater in Vienna from the photos. While you tell me a little bit more about your thoughts,
I'm looking at one of the photos that shows 4 oceans. A view of all of them. So it's pretty spread out. They have I guess they both have like that a couch set up and like a little area where you can sit in the center. And I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, I like having lots of glass and sun and all that. I think helps out a lot. So I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and there is a photo on the screen right now. I'm going to go through a couple photos, but you can see the very big poured concrete flooring, very polished concrete with right in front of that Fisker Ocean and Blue Planet. You can see what looks to be like some sort of a glass, glass inlet in the floor, just to the left of that wall box charger. We're going to go through a couple more. Ed, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not really sure that these are bespoke Fisker Center Pluses. I firmly believe they're repurposed original dealerships, or certainly maybe
this
legacy
one was a
automotives.
Yeah, this one was a dealership.
So I think in time we're going to see a certain corporate identity, certainly with the kind of the orange and the blue perhaps emerging. I think what they've really tried to do is keep the cost down initially, which is sensible to do. What they need to do is have the Center Plus primarily for the pickup option for deliveries. So it really makes sense to do it certainly quickly and cheaply initially. And I mean, cash flow is king when you're launching a car and trying to do the best. And I think Fisker have really shown how they have not burnt through their cash reserves. They've been really quite prudent in this, and as a company, it's vital in the early stages, certainly, to put money into development of future projects like the Pear and the Ronin further down the line. So it's it's early days yet, as I said, but it's certainly a start. And people need to physically see the cars. They need to be able to sort out niggles. Everything comes with initial issues. And if you can go somewhere, get it fixed, even while you wait, or just to get someone to talk to. We're all humans. We need human interaction. We need to see things. We need to touch things. We need to feel them to make final decisions even there. But this is all about deliveries and launch and getting things moving in Europe, certainly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I got the photo up right now of the Fisker Ocean in night drive with black, F3 Slipstream wheels. And I believe it also has black Abyss interior. It's the all black option. That's mine. That's the one that I ordered. I love that look. And Matt shared with me yesterday a really slick photo of that specific vehicle. And it was shot in such a way, I think it was on Facebook or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was shot in such a way you could see a clean future for all, the tagline in the background, just over the hood. And it was really cool looking. So it made me actually a little bit more excited for my choice. And then this morning I wake up and I read about the range, and I was like, yes, 22-inch wheels, and they're going to get, good battery range, and the look of just all black. Amazing. Super excited about that one. And it looks like,
I think I got it.
There you go. Boom.
That was great.
That looks awesome. Oh yeah. Super excited on that one. That just looks so good. I love how the trim that's in black, that plastic that goes around the edge of the bottom edge of the vehicle. I like how the black on black, it definitely blends in better than maybe some of the other colors. So that's kind of what I was battling in my head when I was going to originally go for what a couple people call the stormtrooper look, where you have the great white and you have, the black wheels. And I thought, okay, I'm going all black. Nevertheless, from this view of this particular photo, you can actually see that this is actually it's also 2 stories. There's actually 2 stories. I believe there also is, something tells me those lights down below, or that glass on the floor, leads down to some sort of a basement or something like that. Some sort of, there's some sort of a basement floor or level 0 floor, whatever it's called, where the light actually shines from inside to kind of light up what's downstairs to kind of bring some natural light down there. That's just a thought. I could be totally wrong, but that's from looking at this, it looks like if you look on that back wall, it looks like there's a railing that's going down. So that would be my thought. So this might be 3 floors actually. So yeah, that's what we got. So to go next, I think to kind of tie up the Center Pluses, we have the Vienna, the Copenhagen. There's going to be one we were told in press releases many months ago in 2022. Oslo. There's going to be one in Oslo. There's going to be, I believe, one in, where was the other place? Paris, France, I think was the other one. And then there's going to be something in London. I can't remember if that was a Center Plus or if that's a Fisker Lounge, but there's definitely going to be something there. So that's what we got on lounges. Let's read the results of the poll. We finally got the poll. I'm going to end it right now. We got 73 people, it looks like, who took the poll. Thank you for those that participated tonight. Question, once again, what do you think about the design of the European Fisker Center Plus locations? 50% of the vote, of the 73 votes, matched expectations. That's awesome. Now, I can't vote, but if I could vote, it did match my expectations because I knew it was just going to be a pop, throw something up, get the cars in there, let people look at them, and then when we're ready to deliver and do service, it's there. That was mine. Matched my expectations. 32% of the vote, less than expected. 10% of the vote, much less than expected. 5% of the vote exceeded expectations. All right, some people were blown away by it. I thought, pretty neat. Now, I wondered why Fisker didn't send a press release out now for these. And I think that my gut tells me while these were the first Fisker Center Plus locations, I think they're holding off on a press release for the Fisker Lounges, the flagship experience, which will probably come in LA and for sure they said mid Q2 2023. So that's the last update we got for the Lounges, mid Q2 2023. Could change, who knows? But that could potentially be the reason we didn't get the press release. Ed shot me a message. He says it could have been a soft launch, or it was a soft launch opening. So soft launch, maybe they don't do a press release. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe we'll still get a press release. Maybe we won't. Maybe they're going to wait until the Fisker Lounges open up in Munich and LA. That's the exciting thing about covering this stuff. It's just every day there's a surprise. I didn't even know there was going to be a press release today, and there was a press release today. So it's always fun. Keeps us on our toes, and that's what makes to me this what I call a hobby fun. It's felt more like definitely not a hobby the last 2 days. Oh my God, so much writing. Okay, so let's go to the next thing. The next thing is going to be, just since we're talking about all these different cities in London, let's talk quickly about the Fisker Ocean at Fully Charged Live UK South. Now, Ed, you are in England. You're in the UK, obviously in England. How far are you from, what is it, Farnborough? I probably butchered that, but how far are you from there? Are you planning to go to that event?
Yeah, Farnborough is where they kind of hold the international kind of air display every year. It's a large airfield. It's, obviously the size matters sometimes, and it's a big show. It has turned into that. I'll be there on the Saturday, I'm not presenting anything there. And hopefully it'll be the first time that we will actually get to see a Fisker Ocean in person. So I'm going to take the camera gear down. I'm going to go do a good walk around. I really, really hope that it's a production car. So if I can do that, I'll get some good high resolution images. I'll do a sort of a walk and talk. I'll try and grab someone. If it's as big as it probably should be, I'm kind of hoping that some of the sort of the higher level executives will be there. I don't know whether, I know Henrik has been down at Graz there in the last week or so, whether he's going to appear at Fully Charged or not. It would seem sensible that if he's in Europe, he would stay an extra few days and go up there. So if I bump into Henrik, I'll politely ask for a little bit of an interview, go into something a bit more in depth. The focus at the minute seems to be on Europe. Obviously, the cars are being manufactured there, and they need to get them out the door. So I think it's a really sensible decision that they've made to maybe halt production. We don't know that the 300 have been made up until the end of March. I suspect, given one of Henrik's kind of Instagram posts, that they delayed that due to storage costs. So they're going to ramp up production.
That was my understanding as well. It sounds like they hadn't started or built those 300 that were initially proposed because they maybe they didn't say exactly why, other than the storage portion of it. But maybe they also wanted to wait to get feedback from the European regulators before they actually started investing in each vehicle, so that they wouldn't have to potentially change anything. So that was another thought.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we did get the April 20th date, right? When they're going to start production or thereabouts.
Yeah. And that's just basically talked about. It's 7 or 8 days before they are hoping to get the certification for that. So that seems sensible. Most manufacturers run this kind of right on time build process where their suppliers, I suppose the Magna and Fisker is pretty much vertically integrated. So a lot of the components going into the Ocean are actually manufactured by Magna themselves. So there shouldn't really be an issue with that. As long as they've stockpiled maybe the batteries and things like that coming externally. So it's really easy for them just to decide to hit the button and start producing Oceans on that particular production line, because it's a multi production line, and they can decide what they want to do at any one time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So cool. So we somebody on this this live stream tonight's headed to the Fully Charged Live event. Now I got to go to the one in San Diego, and it was the first time. I think it was not long before I started this channel. This channel hasn't been going. I don't even know actually when this channel started. Less than a year for sure. But over the summer there was the Fully Charged Live. I think it was over the summer, if I recall. Super cool event. I was blown away by the vehicles that were there. There was loads of vehicles. It was the first time I've ever done like a live stream where I was not in front of the computer here. I was on my phone and laptop in a convention center. Very difficult to do, hard to do a live stream with Wi-Fi and cellular service going in and out. But it was the first time I personally got to see the Fisker Ocean was at the Fully Charged Live San Diego event. And they put on stellar events. I've read about them. I've never been to one. I went to it, totally blown away. And if anybody that's watching this that's near or planning to go to the UK or near that particular city, which I believe was like just, I think if I remember correctly, it was, what is it? West, it's definitely west of London. No more than 2 hours, I think it was of drive, maybe 2 hours of a drive. It wasn't very far. So I've lived in England for a while, didn't have a car, but I guarantee you there's a train that you can take to get there, because there's trains to go everywhere. So hop on the train, check it out. Like Ed, take some videos, take some photos, share them with us. We'll feature them on the site. Okay. Let's go on to the next thing. The next thing is the touchscreen. Now, we got a lot of photos and videos of the touchscreen. I think we definitely posted one to the Fiskerati YouTube site, channel, I should say, the YouTube channel. But Matt, you also got one too from somebody that, I don't know where you got yours from, but super cool. That person.
I posted that on my YouTube channel. So
yeah, I saw that.
I got permission, and he said, "Sure, go ahead."
Nice. Yeah, it was like screen by screen by screen, very thorough. So first time we've actually seen a lot of these screens. At least it's the first time I saw them. When I was over in Graz, Austria, there was, we could only do certain things with the screen. And I think when you, Marty, were over at one of the pop-up events in Florida, you got to flip through some of the screens as well. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you've seen previous and what you saw maybe today or yesterday in some of these photos and videos. Well, go ahead, Matt, and start it off. You probably looked at this more than anybody.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, that a lot of people said that, at these recent openings, that the user interface is pretty smooth. It seems smoother than it was even a few months ago when we last saw examples of it. So, and I think that'll be improving over time. There's still some things that are missing, but for example, some of the streaming apps, they kind of have the base of base examples of music and video streaming, but I foresee them doing a lot more, especially since it uses the standard Android automotive software that, for example, Polestar uses. You could probably download the same apps at some point. Some interesting things we got to see was the HVAC, how you control the vents, some other things. One thing that I don't think was working was the navigation. I don't remember seeing anything, or was not loading correctly. I don't know if it was due to being indoors, or maybe the I don't know if they didn't have the data connection for it for these.
It didn't look like it.
Yeah, it didn't look like it.
Didn't look like it.
So, but that's not surprising. A lot of cars that are demoed at for display don't have that active, so not too surprising. But yeah, a lot of screens. I was surprised how many screens we did see, and I know there's been a lot of feedback. Some people think that the software is kind of amateurish compared to some others like Rivian or Tesla. It doesn't look as detailed. Some of the, for example, the driver, the things that affect efficiency screen doesn't look that configurable or that useful. And but like anything, I'm sure they can modify the software with over-the-air updates and make changes where things are needed.
That's
so
right.
I don't really have that much of a problem with the software at this state.
Yeah, I really liked getting to see the regenerative braking. I thought that was actually pretty neat to see that there is a low, medium, and high option. There was also something on that same screen called boost mode. And in this video here, which I think it'll come up here in just a moment, it had like I want to say it was like a credit section, or it was some sort of like total number that you could have. And in this particular video, it showed 0. In your video that I saw, it had 500.
Yeah.
So there was 2 different numbers. Now, I think in this particular video that we're showing on the screen of the touch screen and all the different new, software features that we've never seen before, this was definitely not, did not have internet connectivity. As we saw just a moment ago, when the user tapped on the Prime Video button, it ended up taking you to a web page. It launched like a viewer, which would have potentially loaded Prime Video in that particular streaming service, but it threw an error on the screen primarily because there was no connectivity on that particular device. Now, the funny thing, I ended up getting a video from the same location that was actually filmed in Copenhagen by somebody who is a subscriber to Fisker Audi Premium. So thank you very much for that. But he also ended up sharing a couple other clips that I thought, and photos that I thought were interesting. But someone else shared a video, and they had internet connectivity. Now, I don't know if it was the same Fisker Ocean, as there was 5 and now 6 on site. Maybe some had connectivity and others didn't, because in one of the video clips that I showed, the people who were playing, they're playing like Oasis on maybe Spotify or some streaming service. So I thought that was actually kind of neat that we got to see, and hear a little bit of the audio system. I think it's like ELS or something like that, audio system. So that's pretty neat. Now, Marty, what were your thoughts, having played with the interface over in Florida?
Yeah, when I was in Orlando, I got a kind of a tutorial through. It wasn't fully finished AY, and I didn't do much of the button pressing, but the ride giver that was there kind of took me through some of the menus, some of the navigation, the some of the seating temperature controls, how the vents worked and things like that. And I thought that was pretty neat. From what I saw of it, looked pretty slick to me. But I'm easily impressed, I guess. The thing I liked about the video that was more recent, that come out in the last 2 days, was the camera angles, how you can see the wheels, how you can see the entire car.
That looked nice.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was cool. And I had a car that had a variation of that, but not as good. It did have cameras in the two rear, the side mirrors. So you do have a little bit of visibility there. But I like what I'm seeing, and it's only getting better. And like we talked, software can be updated and improved, and I think it will continuously. So I'm excited to see more of it.
Yeah, likewise. My favorite part also was the cameras. I thought the cameras were really cool. You had the dash cam in the video that I uploaded. You had what they called like the right and the left flanks. And then you had, I think, you had some other camera too. I think it was like the surround, the 3D surround. Because the car was indoors, I don't think we got the full effect.
Yep.
But that looks pretty neat, being able to leverage all the cameras. We have that rear camera as well in the back of the vehicle. So it's going to be neat to kind of see everything in, with that 3D surround and what that looks like. Ed, what were your takes on this? I don't think you've had a chance to kind of play around with it, but I'm sure you've seen what it looked like previous and what you saw now.
Yeah, I mean, as with all things, they develop over time. They need to have a basic user interface. Navigation is really important. I'm really disappointed in a way, though, that they haven't gone for the CarPlay, Apple, Android Auto interface. That a lot of manufacturers are just basically getting away from the standard user interface and in the car, certainly navigation based anyway. But obviously they have to have a solid base for anyone not using those particular products. The camera's really good, and they will come into their own when people are off-roading these things, because they will do. And to have full 360 vision and parking as well. I know we've got park assist, coming as well. So all really, really important features. Everyone expects this, though, in certainly a car of this value in the premium segment. So it's not as if they would be doing them a disservice if they didn't have them. It would seem rather amateurish if they, if they didn't include these, what we consider as basic features now in modern cars.
Yeah, that's a good take. I once again, I was super impressed by what I saw in November, and then flash forward, what is that? 4 or 5 months, probably 5 months. The UI is drastically improved, and we ended up getting some information about the I don't know, what is it, the chip that the 17.1 inch display was going to run on, and there were people that had concerns about lagginess. And in the video that I watched that was shared with me, and then the video that was shared with you that you published, Matt, everything seemed pretty fluid, and there was no lag on anything. So I think to Marty's point, over time we're going to get more and more software updates. There'll be over the air updates, and we'll constantly get improvements. It's going to be somebody's job, and it probably is someone's job now, just constantly iterating, constantly improving. Another bit of feedback I thought was actually kind of funny was, why is everything purple? I don't like the purple. No more purple. And I said, hey, haven't you noticed the purple in every image of the Fisker Ocean 1? Practically everything's had the purple tone. So whoever designs those particular graphics probably also has their hand in the Fisker Ocean user interface. But maybe they'll offer a dark mode and a light mode, or an auto mode, like when the sun goes down, the colors change maybe, or who knows what. That's the fun part of this journey, is we don't really know what we're going to get, right? We have some extent on what we're going to get, but and no one's actually had an opportunity to fully play with the user interface, with data connectivity, outside, driving around. Like, no one's had a chance to do that unless you work at Fisker. So, so I'm excited for that. We're getting the Fisker Ocean 1, and these are all the fun things that I look forward to playing with and sharing right here on All Things Fisker. We're gonna be learning stuff, I have a feeling, every week. There's gonna be something every week that is new, whether it's a feature that we just learned about, or a new software update, a new over-the-air update. There's gonna be fun stuff to play with. So super excited for that. Now, before we go on to the next topic, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. That's a no-brainer. But for the people who are watching, we have, I don't know, just over 100 people, and we only have 34 likes on this video. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna count down from 5 to 1. If you haven't already liked the video, you're on your phone, you're on the desktop. It helps when you like the video, because the video is then shared with other people who also like Fisker. So at the count of 1, go ahead and like the video. I want to get down to 1 here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit the like button for us. All right, go on and hit that like button. Now, let's go ahead and do a quick refresh. Let's see how many people really liked it. Okay, we got 47. Maybe we can get to 75, and we'll share some exciting news, because that's kind of the fun thing you hit 75, and we'll share some fun news. So let's go on to the next thing. We don't have too many more things to talk about tonight, but there is a couple things that I thought were actually interesting, and I mentioned them in the news part. Fisker ended up, as everyone knows, they're going to have Fisker Finance, and that's going to be hopefully an easy way to finance your Fisker Ocean. And granted, the site, the price estimator does list interest rates, and the funny thing is, well, none of us at this particular time can actually finance the Fisker Ocean. But it's neat that they're actually putting the interest rates in there. It looks like they might be updating them on a maybe monthly basis. The interest rates, since they originally published their financing rates, the APR rates for good credit, medium credit, bad credit, whatever it may be, they've ended up actually having we here in the United States had a raise in interest rates. The Federal Reserve ended up increasing interest rates this past month by a quarter of a percentage point. And the funny thing is the APRs on Fisker Finance actually dropped by about a half a percentage point. So I thought that was actually kind of noteworthy. So, who knows what they're going to be by the time anyone here in the U.S. can actually use Fisker Finance to finance your Fisker Ocean. But I'm expecting we're going to end up getting potentially another rate increase at the beginning of May. I think that's when the FOMC meets and they decide and vote, hey, are we going to increase interest rates a quarter of a point? Do we keep them the same? To fight off inflation here in the U.S., what are they going to do? Who knows? But I'm going to keep tabs, like I've been doing on Fisker Finance, just to kind of see what not only what I'm going to end up paying on a monthly for a monthly payment, but also my trade-in. Matt and I have been sharing our what our Tesla Model 3s are going for, and just this past day, it dropped like it did for you last week, Matt. It dropped for me about $1,000. So I'm back close to 33,000 again for my trade-in. Granted, I think we've talked about I'm going to probably sell my vehicle as a private party and not trade it in, because I think I'll be able to get a fair amount more for my vehicle. Now, speaking of Fisker Finance, Ed sent a message here. He said nothing for him in the UK yet on the Fisker app for financing rates. So as far as I understand it, customers in Europe are primarily going to be using Santander Bank. So that's what we've seen from people in Denmark, and I think possibly Austria. I think they shared some screenshots of different interest rates. And the interest rates, oh my God, thank God I don't live in, I think it was Copenhagen. The interest rate was, I want to say, close to 8 or 9%. I don't know. It was really high. So that's what we've seen. But hey, that's what interest rates are over there right now. And maybe that's what they'll end up being over here in the United States, not too long of a time. So that was neat. The other thing that I noticed is I've been going to the Chase website. I noticed on the Chase Auto portion of their site, they have started listing Fisker. Now, Chase, if you're a Chase customer, they have a way for you to add your existing vehicle that you have. So if you have a Ford Lightning, or you have a Ford Mustang, or you have a Ford Expedition, whatever car you have, or if you have a Fisker Ocean, customers are able to add their current vehicle, and then Chase ends up giving you helpful tips for you to maintain and manage your vehicle. So Fisker was listed on that particular drop-down menu. However, when I selected it, it just said, hey, Fisker is not supported at this time. It also mentioned that before I actually selected it. Fisker was also in the finance options when I selected, hey, I'm interested in a new car loan. Here's what my credit score is. It's kind of like a calculator. I then got to choose my make and of the vehicle, and lo and behold, Fisker was there. When I selected Fisker, because they have a special relationship Chase has a special relationship with Fisker. I wasn't able to go any further in the process. So they referred me back over to the Fisker Inc. website. So that's the latest there. We'll keeping tabs, or we'll continue to keep tabs on what's going on in Fisker Finance. If there's anything new, I don't expect much here for the U.S. I think the next thing for Fisker Finance will be customers in Europe and getting their loans with Santander Bank. So maybe we'll see some stuff in the Fiskerati forums that we can share with people soon. So the next thing that we got, that exclusive gift. Now, Matt or Ed or Marty, have you received your exclusive gift yet? Have you received your 2 Fisker Ocean branded keychains?
Nope. I just received the email though.
Really?
When'd
you get that?
Nothing else. So.
When'd you get the email?
I'd have to look. I can't remember. Wasn't that long ago. I have to look it up then.
Yeah, I think I got the email over the weekend, but I've not received the keychain. Although I'm checking all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely checking as well. Here at our community, we have like those mailboxes, like where it's like a huge chunk of mailboxes for a big mailbox bank for the people in my cluster, my complex or whatever building. And there's I'm guessing the box is going to be too big to fit in my personal mailbox, so it'll be in the special package mailbox. Every time I walk up there to get the mail or go for a run in the morning, I look to see if that particular package box is locked, and if it's not locked, then I don't even bother to check the mail because I figured I haven't gotten my branded keychains yet. So when I get those, I'll be super excited because that is a nice to have. It's kind of fun, and it kind of keeps the excitement going. As small as a keychain is, it keeps the excitement going, keeps me thinking about the Fisker Ocean each day. Not that I don't already, but it's just something pretty nice. Before we move on, Ed actually said he had a comment about the Fisker Finance. Go on, Ed.
Okay, it was just basically I was kind of late to the party. I don't know if anyone knows my background. I had a reservation.
Go ahead and tell your story real quick.
Well, I kind of had a reservation for the Ocean back in July 2022. So I was kind of at the back end of things. I think just at the time I was probably around about the 50,000 or thereabouts on the total when Henrik was kind of announcing all the rest of it. I initially had an order for a Skoda Enyaq Coupe. No, not something you would have seen in the US because the Skoda brand aren't there. It's kind of like the working man's Volkswagen, as it were, part of the Volkswagen group based on the MEB platform. So think kind of ID5. So I went into EV Database, and I made a video about it on the channel here. Went into EV Database, and all of a sudden the Fisker Ocean popped up there. When you kind of go SUV and sort by range, there it is, right there at the top virtually. So I delved deeper into this, paid my deposit, and then subsequently cancelled that order for the Enyaq Coupe. And I've really only held, obviously, a firm order in the last, 3 or 4 weeks or so. I'm still waiting for a sequence number as well. And I was contacted by one other guy who saw my initial video here in the UK. It turns out there were only 2 cancellations in the UK for the Ocean One. I was the first one, and the Steve Manders, who shot me an email, he was a 14th of July 2022, and he has just signed his documentation for what could possibly be one of the bookend Fisker Oceans, because I think in the numbering sequences, the UK cars seem to be labeled last. It was always their intention that they built the right-hand drive cars towards the end of the sequence number. So that's it. My comment on finance basically was before I dropped £5,000 deposit, I had to basically ensure that I wasn't going to be rejected for any finance. So you don't have to finance your car through Fisker. They may well give you higher residuals if you select a balloon payment, therefore keeping your monthly payments slightly less. However, what I did was just went externally to my bank. I mean, my Ocean's working out at about £62,000. I've got various bits, including a tow bar, and I'm able to borrow up to 50,000 of that directly from my bank, and it was low 7%. So it kind of works out. I took it over 5 years. I don't need to worry about mileage. I don't need to worry about residuals. I can drive the car, pay for it, and own it outright after 5 years. And quite often people overlook that option of going for external finance. It's a personal loan for a car, but it's not secured on the vehicle. So it's essentially just I've got it all done. The money's sitting in my bank. I'm paying for my car already, but the money is sitting there, and I will have it paid off in 5 years from this month. So
that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. We have talked about previously, I think it was Matt and me, about credit unions and checking your local credit union, because credit unions, at least here in the United States, definitely offer really good rates because it's a community bank. And, you know, with all that's been going on here with regional banks, I've noticed that our local community bank is definitely chomping at the bit to get people loans and helping people out. So, you know, community banks are a good option, credit unions. So, you know, if no one has to use Fisker Finance, to your point, Ed, everyone should check their local credit union, even their current company that they have, you know, a checking or savings account with, because those may be good alternatives. So yeah, we'll definitely keep tabs on that. We're going to explore all the options when we have the chance. But for now, we're sitting tight. We're going to wait and see what the Fisker Finance experience is all about. And you know, one other option that I just kind of thought of a while back was we may just very well go with Fisker Finance, but it's not to say I couldn't start with Fisker Finance, and then once I have the car and all that stuff, a month down the road, 2 months down the road, I could always get another loan out to pay off the Fisker Finance from my local bank. So that's a potentially another option. So it's like refinancing the vehicle and paying it off and getting another loan. So anyhow, moving along, we had we've kind of jammed through everything, but there's some notable EV news that I wanted to talk about tonight. I wrote an article about it just earlier this week, and we ended up getting some new news today. So it was actually Reuters and then New York Times did a really good article. It had to do with the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency here in the United States. They went ahead today on Wednesday. They went out and laid out new rules to what they call turbocharging sales of electric cars and trucks. Now, did anyone of you guys hear about this? Did anyone in our chat have a chance to hear about this? I'm gonna read a snippet from the New York Times article that got published about 2 hours ago. They were the ones that kind of broke the details on it. Pretty cool. So let me do that, and then we'll chat about this. This is pretty neat. So the Biden administration is proposing rules to ensure that 2/3 of new cars and 1/4 of new heavy trucks sold in the United States by 2032 are all electric. The new rules would require nothing short of a revolution in the United States auto industry, a moment in some ways as significant as the June morning in 1896, when Henry Ford took his quote-unquote horse ride carriage for a test run and changed American life and industry. If the two rules from the Environmental Protection Agency are enacted as proposed, they would put the world's largest economy on track to slash its planet-warming emissions at the pace that scientists say is required of all nations in order to avert the most devastating impacts of climate change. The government's challenge to automakers is monumental. Last year, all electric vehicles accounted for just 5.8% of new cars sold in the United States. All electric trucks were even more rare, making up fewer than 2% of new heavy trucks sold. So I thought that was actually some pretty interesting news. And to me, that bodes well for Fisker, who not only is soon to be launching this Fisker Ocean, but then they have the Pear in 2024. We have the Ronin and the Alaska truck to come after that. So they've got a pipeline full of electric vehicles that are certainly, this potential legislation, if it gets enacted, will certainly support EV makers like Fisker and Lucid and obviously Tesla and virtually everybody. So it's going to be kind of like I hate to use the word gold rush, but if they really enact this legislation, everyone's going to be scrambling to continue to make investments and get on their EV on their EV game, if you will. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Did you have any thoughts? Have you read about this?
Yeah, I read a little bit about it, and the target goal of 2/3 of all cars can be electric, which is ambitious to say the least. I think whether we want to admit it or not, it's going to be a political fight. And if it was simply to wave a magic wand, the EPA says, "All right, auto industry, do this," then it would probably get done. But it's going to be fodder for 2024 and beyond. I think I don't know that they're going to be able to just implement it as quickly and easily as they say. But not also. You have to mine the rare earth minerals or obtain them. You have to build battery factories. You have to do a lot of supply chain things. Make sure that you have reliable charging. More charging stations. Consumer education. Whenever you force people to do something, it's a little harder.
What about you, Matt? What's your take?
I'd like to add that I think the Inflation Reduction Act has been like the start of all of this. We've seen a lot of talk about companies that are going to be opening factories, battery factories, in addition to auto factories in the U.S. I guess actually all in North America is I think that is a kickstart, and I think this would probably even add more to it. But because I think a lot of car companies with the incentive of the tax credit really want to get that. So I think that may be more effective, I think, for expanding production at this rate. I don't know if the EPA is more of a longer term kind of continuation of what the IRA started, but I guess we'll see how it's implemented.
Yeah. And Ed, do you have a perspective on this, being from the UK? Do you hear anything about stuff like this, or is this just not relevant?
No, it's important. But I mean, the key's in the name there. It was the Environmental Protection Agency. Of course, they're going to drive things towards a cleaner environment for all. However, there's got to be a bit more carrot and less stick. The minute you kind of force people into something, you get pushback. So what we need to do is get affordable electric vehicles into the system, and of course, all incentives globally are welcome. They need to make it easier for manufacturers to incentivize people to buy the products. I mean, it goes hand in hand. It goes without saying. But as I say, if everything falls nicely into place, people will be incentivized out of their ICE cars and into electric vehicles naturally, in the natural run of things. And obviously it's slow progress, but with all things in new technology, things start off slow, but the curve steepens quite rapidly as we get people adapting to it and getting rid of the fear of actually using something that's different. We don't like change. No one likes change. It's human nature. But if we can assist that and make it easier, and as they see their friends and neighbors and families adopting this new technology and how easy and good and quiet and smooth and all the benefits, not just in cost or kickbacks with tax or whatever it happens to be. So as I said, there needs to be an incentive. You can incentivize someone into a position, they'll be much happier in that position.
Yeah, I think I read a poll just the other day. It was from AP News, and it actually, let me pull it up here. It actually said about 4 in 10 US adults are at least somewhat likely to switch to EVs, but the history-making shift from the country's century-plus love affair with gas-driven vehicles still has a ways to travel. Even with the tax credits of up to $7,500 to buy a new V, it could be difficult to persuade drivers to ditch their gas-burning cars and trucks for vehicles without tailpipe emissions. It then went on to say that new electric vehicles now cost an average of more than $58,000, according to Kelley Blue Book, a price that's beyond the reach of many U.S. households. The average vehicle sold in the U.S. costs just under $46,000. Tax credits approved under last year's Inflation Reduction Act are designed to bring EV prices down and attract more buyers. So yeah, I think price is definitely one of them. That's kind of where this survey was going, or this poll. And then to your point, Ed, just change in general. People don't like change. I think one of the biggest and most beneficial changes of owning an electric vehicle, which I've probably said previously, is not being forced to go to the gas station. Right now, depending on how much you drive, I was always I'm still kind of a germaphobe, if you will, and touching the gas pumps. I've never been, when I was younger, I touched them and all that stuff. As I got older, I would always grab like a paper towel from the dispenser where you'd wash your windows and where the paper towels were, and I'd use that to grab the nozzle pump or whatever, or the pump nozzle. Being able to just charge the car, in the garage is the greatest thing ever. It's like I don't even have to think about, stopping at the gas station, with a child in the back that wants to go home or go wherever we need to go. It's just super easy. I can do it all from downstairs in the garage. So probably the greatest change of owning an electric vehicle is not having to go to the gas station. And the best part about that as well, to tack on to that, yeah, you might get some savings with the EV tax credit, but the biggest savings for our family is the amount we pay to actually charge the vehicle. It's a fraction of the cost. I think it's maybe it's now to like $8 to charge up to the full 350 miles, the full car. So that's a big savings in our pocketbook as far as saving money, saving energy, etc. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I hope that we learn more as everybody watched with the EV tax credit legislation, the IRA. It was a battle. It went back and forth, and it basically took all the way from it was many months of a battle, and it took all the way to March it was, in order for us to get the details. I think the details of the tax credit came out on the 31st of March. So it was like a many month process, all the way from August of 2022 all the way to March 31st, 2023. So I would imagine this EPA proposal is going to take forever to get sorted out. Now, do you guys have any news that you wanted to share that you thought was interesting by chance?
Can I just say something about we've skirted around? I mean, obviously driving cars too, and the cost of running them. But I did the big incentive for me into the Fisker Ocean, and people haven't really focused that much on it, is the simple fact that you will be able to charge your car up at night rates. And our night rates here are about 61% cheaper. Certainly, my tariffs are than the daytime rates. We run an air source heat pump at home for our heating, and that is 300% efficient. So for every kilowatt of energy we put in electricity, we get 3 kilowatts of heating out of that to heat our homes. Now, in these slightly colder areas, and the UK is a prime example of that. If you can charge up your car at the night rate and then run your home off it during the peak rates, then there is a massive incentive to reduce your heating bills, your electricity bills. I know it hasn't been activated straight out the box on the Fisker, but certainly we know that the inverter there that you can plug in, whether it's 240 volts or 110, is going to be 3 kilowatts. That's massive as far as an EV is concerned, and certainly combined with the Extreme or Ocean One with a solar roof, you can go camping And I've done rough figures. It's about 1.5 kilowatt hours per day. If you take a sort of a 5 miles range per day, 1,500 a year kind of thing, you can go camping with your Ocean, plug in your air fryer or TV or whatever, and the solar roof will effectively have you not in a range deficit when it comes to, so you'll be able to enjoy your car in hugely different ways when you're not using the car at home. It's generating 3, 4, 5 miles a day sitting outside. Certainly in the peak of summer it will, and if that's just doing the school run, you might find you're never going to plug your car in. But if you can reverse that process and have bidirectional charging, I think we're all going to find that if you've got the charger equivalent, and there are manufacturers out there that can incorporate solar panels and turbines for charging your car, we need to harness all of this energy out there. But it's the 60% difference in tariffs between night and day. And I did just some regular calculations. We use 9,200 kilowatt hours per year. It was about 25 kilowatt hours per day, so that's well within the capacity of the battery. We're assuming it's going to be slightly over 100 kilowatt hours, and that's, it's only 25% of capacity. I reckon I could save on 50-50 use, kind of night and day, about $1,500 a year, just at current rates, and that's just using the difference between the nighttime and the daytime tariffs. You don't have to do anything; it'll all be automatic, and there you go. You just save money by plugging your car into the house.
Yeah. Now, Matt and I have talked about that in the past. Our rates here are much cheaper from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Monday through Friday than from 12 a.m. I think it's to 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. It's like, I don't know, drastically, it's like 75% cheaper. It's super cheap to do, which makes it, $7 to $8 to charge the car in its entirety. I think Matt and Jim, who's not on tonight, have extremely good energy rates where they live. So yeah, it's I'm sure we're going to do more on that as time progresses when we have our Oceans and what the cost is and all that stuff. Not to mention installing. I can't wait at some point to get that Fisker wall box charger and install it down below. So there's going to be lots of fun with charging and electricity and trying to do all those fun things. So yeah, more to come on that. There are a couple other bits of notable EV news that I thought were kind of interesting. Last time we did the show was a week ago. We always do this, or we try to do this every Wednesday. If there's no Fisker news, we usually don't do it, but there's always usually something to talk about. One thing that happened that we've mentioned at previous shows that I think is kind of notable is Tesla again. Since I think it was it Friday night, they ended up dropping prices again. They dropped prices on all of their models, at least 4 of their models, the Model S, the Model X, the Model Y, and the Model 3. The reason I know that is I first went and tried to get a value on my trade-in again and noticed it was $1,000 lower. But I ended up posting an article in the Fiskerati forums in the EV section, and it was actually Tommaso that told me you're going to end up your vehicle is going to end up getting another hit on your trade-in value. Lo and behold, it did. So that's killing me, that those price drops as far as my trade-in goes. It doesn't really affect me much as far as the Fisker Ocean, other than my trade-in value is a little less. But aside from that, I'm still going to purchase the Fisker Ocean 1 and the Fisker Ocean Sport. The other bit of news, and maybe Matt, I don't know if you had any comments, or maybe Marty on the Tesla dropping prices, but that was kind of another interesting. I think it's the 5th time they've done that this year, and we're only in April. You guys have any thoughts on that, or move on to the next one?
I think you're on mute, Matt.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Tesla's been updating prices up and down a little bit over the last several weeks and months. So, I think they're just trying to optimize, their forward production so that they don't have too much that's, they're trying to get the right amount of vehicles to schedule. So, and they're just adjusting it more than they used to. And during COVID, for that 2-year period, they had, prices went way up. And but there was still the problem was there was not a lot of other competitors, and they were basically able to get away with it in a way, but now they can't. So I think they just need to do that. So, and it affects me and Sean because we have cars we want to sell it later in a couple months. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Definitely going to take delivery of the Fisker Ocean 1 first, and then sell the car, as we really have no other transportation. We only have one car in our family. So yeah, that one's pretty interesting, I would say. The other bit of news that I saw had to do with Chipotle. There was an article posted to the Fiskerati forums. It was actually a video, and it had to do with Chipotle piloting a new sustainability program of on-location EV charging stations. So the article really talks about them trying to reduce their carbon footprint, and one way of doing that, aside from biodegradable utensils and things like that, and packaging, is to build EV charging stations on site of their drive-throughs and their stores. Another company who's been doing something similar to this is the Starbucks. Starbucks has been doing a lot with EV charging, and it was some time ago I ended up reading about how they ended up doing a bunch of outfitting of chargers at existing stores from Seattle to, I think it was, I want to say Denver, Colorado. And you can travel along that whole corridor and stop at a Starbucks and get your car charged while enjoying a coffee, or enjoying a frappuccino, or whatever your drink may be at Starbucks. For me, it's usually a green tea or a peach passion tea. That's a good one. But yeah, it's like everybody seems to be getting into the EV game as a way to attract more customers to their stores. And when we did our road trip from San Diego to Orlando, the best places to charge were always restaurants. That was always the best place, because you kill two birds with one stone. You're charging your car while you're eating your meal, and you don't have to slop food. And in this case, if you have your Fisker Ocean, I love the idea of the taco tray, but I'm probably not going to eat greasy, gross, fast food in my brand new car. That's just me, but I'm probably not going to be doing that. So I would charge my car at maybe a restaurant and then go eat in the restaurant or on the patio outside to enjoy the fresh air and stuff. But I think it's neat that companies are doing that. And it was also really convenient. At most all the charging stations, we stopped at 19 charging stations from here to, I think it was 19 from here to Florida. And virtually every one of them had a place to eat at. It was always spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes eating, cars charging. And by the time you are done eating your meal, you get in your car and you have just enough energy to go to the next place. You're not overcharging, you're getting just enough to get to the next stop. So that worked out really well for us. So that's pretty much all for the EV news. I've been following the chat tonight on YouTube, and I have not seen any questions pop up. So I think that I think we're good. I think we went ahead and more or less answered everyone's questions as we were doing this, I guess, or people were more engaged in the chat tonight than they were listening to us chat, or who knows. So that's kind of where we're at. If I don't see any questions coming in, Yeah. It looks like Rosanna may have a question. It says, ask questions now, guys. Yeah, so if anyone has questions, this is the time to answer them. Not that we'll have the answers, but it's always fun to kind of do some questions. There's a question, do you think the Ocean will use the Cattle Cullen battery? I don't think we've gotten any details on that. Matt's shaking his head no.
No, I don't think so. I think that's possibly a next generation type of thing, because they've already designed the battery pack like at least a year ago, and the Cullen just came out. So I don't think it's possible.
Got it.
However, within the Zeekr range, the 009 is the first to be introduced with the Keelan packs. The architectural footprint of those packs is very, very similar to their 114 kilowatt hour packs. So there is no reason why they can't just be slotted straight into the Ocean.
Yeah, I'm sure it's possible that they could do a changeover at some point, but I think the initial production, especially the ones, are probably limited to the existing. And if they do at some point switch over to a different a battery pack, probably later on, maybe later in the year or next year, it's a possibility.
Yeah, we're still waiting for details on the battery. Maybe we'll end up learning more about that here in the coming months. I think Fisker did say as soon as the first or right around when the first Fisker Ocean is delivered, chances are it's going to be in Europe. Maybe we'll learn some more details about the battery and some of the other questions that we've had. There is a question. Does anyone know why EPA is taking longer than Europe range ratings? I don't know the answer to that question. My guess would. Oh, go for it. What's your?
Maybe because they're busy crafting legislation. I don't know. No,
That's a good one. That was better than.
I was hoping that Fisker would announce EPA today on the back of EPA's announcement, but it feels like almost literally any day. WLTP was almost a month ago, and we're just waiting.
Yeah, the WLTP I think was the couple. Was it the 28th of March? Somewhere at the end of March. So it's been a couple weeks. I think that we'll probably hear something, and it's totally a guess. I should say I'm going to preface this by saying I've done loads of research, and every avenue that I go down is a cul-de-sac or a dead end. I can't find how long it takes to get an EPA approval for a car. Get that regulatory approval process done. It's like there's the information sparse on the internet for that, especially on the EPA website, just not there. So I don't quite know. Maybe you have to be an automotive maker in order to get access to this, these details. But I would imagine we're going to see something. My guess would be May would probably be the time frame if we're looking to get all the Oceans, the start of Ocean delivery, June timeframe. I'm going to share something that was kind of fun. That in the Fiskerati forums, I pinned to the very top. I'm running a poll, and the poll is around Fisker Ocean deliveries here in the United States. The poll asks this question: when will the first Fisker Ocean delivery happen in the United States? And many of us are trying to work backwards, right? And take a date and kind of work backwards, or just trying to figure out how long things take. Now, this particular poll has 75 voters, and the 75 voters have been kind of across the board. There's a few dates that have gone with no poll votes, but the bulk of the poll votes, 17.3%, actually fall on June 25th through July 1st. 16% of the poll results are June 18th through June 24th. And then the third position is July 2nd through July 8th. So the bulk, nearly close to half, not quite half, but close to half of the results are from June 18th through July 8th. That's when people in the forum, at least, think the Fisker Ocean 1 will be delivered here in the United States. So we'll see who's going to be closest. It's kind of fun. But that was a poll of 75 tonight. I think we had 73 people vote on tonight's poll. Sometimes we get over 100 people on some of these. I think the biggest poll we've ever had was a couple hundred votes, and that had to do with like Fisker Ocean 1 and different wheel options and configurations and things like that. But I thought that poll was kind of fun. If you haven't done that poll yet, I'll go ahead and throw it in the chat over on YouTube, and you can check that out. What else is going on in the forum that's worth mentioning? Well, let's see here. There was, let's see here. We were talking about the tailpipe emissions and things like that. That's not too exciting. Somebody had a question they threw out there the other day about running boards on the Fisker Ocean and whether the Fisker Ocean should have had running boards. I was to the opinion of no, it shouldn't. I thought that would not look very good on the vehicle since it's so low to the ground. But some people think that that's a good idea, to each their own. But yeah, there's loads of topics in there. Nothing else is jumping out at me as of right now. People are talking about boost mode right now. That seems to be kind of like a hot topic. And Matt and I chatted briefly about that one. That was on the screen with the regenerative braking. So yeah, there's just lots of fun stuff to look at. If you haven't gone there yet, check it out. Do the poll vote. And I don't think we have any more questions from the looks of it. If you guys haven't, Matt, Jim, and Marty, if you haven't already posted your channel link to your channel in the chat, it might be worth doing that so people can find your channels. As I mentioned earlier, if you haven't subscribed to the Fiskerati channel, go ahead and take a moment to do so. Go ahead and like the video too as we're wrapping things up here. We did just hit 75 likes. So all I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you a piece of not news, but I'm going to give you a little teaser. If all goes according to plan, we should have some fun, a fun post to put up on the channel on Friday sometime. I don't know what time, but there should be some fun stuff for everybody who subscribes to the Fiskerati YouTube channel. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to hopefully drop a new video on Friday, and it'll give us some more fun stuff to talk about at the next All Things Fisker. Lastly, before I kind of close things out, Marty, Ed, and Matt, do you have anything else you want to chat about?
I do.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, we had one of the participants at the opening brought a measuring tape and did some good measurements, some new things. He got the width of the Fisker Ocean with and without mirrors, and I'm just going to post that right now. That's something we were wanting to know for quite a while, and it's actually slightly wider, both with and without the mirrors, than a Model Y, which I'm actually kind of surprised. So yeah.
So did this individual open up the driver's side and passenger side front windows and then took
and passed it through
all the way across?
Yes,
that's pretty cool.
Yes, that was pretty clever. So
clever.
I think the first time anybody's done that. So.
That is. We've seen some people measure the trunk space. We have seen that. I think there was somebody in Orlando that did that, I saw, which was kind of the first time we saw that. But yeah, that's cool. That's a neat one. What about you? Go for it.
I was going to say there's one other thing we did. I think it was on the Ocean forums. There was a message thread about, I guess one of the pictures somebody took was of the weight label. And it listed, the gross vehicle weight and the gross combined weight. And they were able to figure out what the actual curb weight of the Fisker Ocean is. And it's roughly 5,000 pounds, or I think it was 2271 kilograms. So So 5,000, it's a little on the hefty side, but not surprising because it's going to have a big battery pack. So
that's the heaviest part of the car, the battery pack, and that's going to be interesting. That'll be good stabilization. Cool. Ed, you got anything you want to share? Anything else you want to throw out for the night or during episode 23?
There was firstly, thanks for inviting me along. So
Sure thing.
and that's it, and it's really nice to meet the rest of the guys online. So I'm kind of late to the party, but I'm making loads of content on this, and there'll be lots more to come. So Backroad Hero, that's where you need to go. Have a look. I've got 4 or 5 videos already on the Ocean in there, and I see a few comments here. Thank you very much, guys, for people that have already seen that. Finally, there was an early question within the comments here that there was a need on the media for the owner's manual in the UI. So if anyone has access, go into the lounges or the center pluses over the next few days. It would be really nice just to get some snapshots of what the owner's manual actually says within the car, because that's where it's going to be. So on that point, thanks very much, and I'll do this again. Thank you.
Sure thing. And what about you, Marty? You got anything else?
No, I think we covered a lot, and thanks for staying up. Pleasure having you, and very nice to meet you. And I feel like we've got an international vibe tonight, which is nice for a change.
Yeah. Fisker's all about Europe, and now we have somebody joining us from Europe, so it's nice.
Odds are good. You'll see him on the roads before we do. We're
quite possible.
Anticipating and super excited, as they say.
Yep, same here. Now, and by the way, as we wrap things up here tonight, don't forget you can catch us, All Things Fisker, anytime and anywhere if you want to listen to the show on your favorite podcast platform today. So check that out. We got a growing podcast community, which is kind of fun. It's a different way to engage with the show or check the show out. So go ahead and take a look at that. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, don't forget to download the Fiskerati apps. That's where you get the articles the quickest when I publish them, as it gets pushed to your phone if you have push notifications enabled. So that'll do it. This is episode 23 of All Things Fisker. You guys have a good night. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.